All right, Nick, let's talk about the Detroit Lions. This is a team that at the beginning of this season, I think we're going to go over a story today that you never would have believed. It's actually stunning the turnaround that the Lions have made. They are a top tier organization. We're going to tell you why in just a minute. But Detroit fans, I know it came down to the bitter end. You were just mere inches away from making the playoffs this season. It's very tough, but you're ahead of schedule. You're almost a playoff team in the second year of a quoted 3-year rebuild. So you got to be proud about that. But now that you're out of it, you could take a step back, look at the field. I'm just curious to know, since the Lions didn't make it, who would you like to see in the big game this year? Who would you like to see in the Super Bowl? Let us know in the comments below. But Nick, what do you have on the Lions?
Yeah, so it's that time of year, right? The coaching carousel. You've got young coordinators, young coaches getting promoted up and getting interviewed for head coaching jobs. We see this all the time, right? You have organizations like the Rams with McVay. A lot of his assistants went on to become head coaches. Of course, the Belichick tree for years, and so on and so forth. And you always see these guys, these coordinators are plucked and picked from what people see as, quality organizations, outstanding leadership, high level talent, competitive, strong structure, strong hierarchical structure in that organization. Those were all attributes that have been applied to teams like the Steelers, like the Patriots for years. Those aren't attributes that have been historically, at least for the last 5, 6, 7 years or so, tied to the Detroit Lions. Well, no more, Miles, because there are plenty of reports today. USA Today actually outlined it specifically that both defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn and offensive coordinator Ben Johnson have been approached and interviewed for other head coaching positions. Namely, this USA Today report referenced the Colts, but there's a lot of other jobs. Namely, Ben Johnson's been linked to teams like the Panthers and so on. Now, what does this mean for the Lions and why it's a good sign for Detroit? It's because for the first time in a long time, Miles, this organization has people from the outside looking at it and say they're real. They're legit. This is a team that's built the right way. They're built smart. They're coached the right way, from the top down, from the head coach, from the GM, Brad Holmes. The whole deal is finally done smart and finally done right. And the outside world is recognizing it. And the fact that their coordinators are valued commodities shows that other NFL teams want to replicate what the Detroit Lions has. That's unbelievable. No one would have ever thought people would try to do that coming into this season. Give me your thoughts on this, Mize.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was alluding to at the beginning of the show. Is if Nick, I would ask you at the beginning of the season, like, hey, Lions fans need to watch out because people are going to try to poach these coordinators. People are like, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid. Halfway through the season, if I told you Aaron Glenn would be getting calls for head coaching position potentially, people would have been like, our defense stinks. You're crazy. I actually don't. I think I've heard people even say, we don't want to keep even. There's like 2 players on the defense that I want to keep, scrap everybody else. Now you look at it, you've got like maybe 5, 6 hot young players on this defense that are like eschewing to be a young nucleus moving forward for the Detroit Lions. So as you said, the offense has been incredible all year. I think the turnaround on the defensive side of the ball is something to show of admiration. It's like you can appreciate how tough it was coming into this season. All of these guys are now playing at a pretty high level, especially the D-line and the safeties seem to be playing really, really well. So I like all of this from the Lions. I'm happy that they're finally getting some national attention. But as a Lions fan, I'm sure you selfishly, you're in that position now. You're in the realm of the top tier teams where every season you have to go, please don't take my coordinator. Please don't, just leave them alone. I hope they come back. I hope they can offer some money. And, they may return because I think there's some unfinished business left with the Lions this season.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good problem to have, right? Especially considering the alternative. You'd rather have people want your guys because you're winning and doing things the right way than not want your guys because you stink. But I think the fact that it's both offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator is really a really encouraging sign for the Detroit Lions going forward. Because if it was just one or the other, you could sit there and say, well, they just have one coach, right? They got one great coach, but maybe he's not, maybe the rest of the organization isn't that great. They just got one great coordinator. Because it's both guys, both sides of the ball. To me, that says the NFL really likes what Detroit is doing and how they've built it and what they're going to continue to do. And I think that by itself is a huge sign that what Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have done isn't slowing down. It's only going to continue to build momentum this offseason. I think it's going to be exciting to watch. The Lions have a lot of picks. They got some good cap space. I think they're going to make some big moves. And even if they lose one or both of these coordinators, the future continues to be extremely bright for Detroit.